Mr. and Mrs. Adjudicator, the proposition side of the house portray that the merge and acquisitions in tech companies is happening because these companies want to dominate the market. We say no because merge and acquisitions does not portray dominations and it will not dominate the markets, and we will deliver it clearly in my arguments. But before coming to my arguments, I would like to say a couple of rebuttals towards the proposition side of the house. The first one is on their argument on how is this harming workers. We said these do not harm workers. The merge of these companies instead is valuing and appreciating workers' rights better. That is why we can see there are better facilities being provided in companies who have merged and become bigger. They are provided with abundant of comfortabilities equipment such as nap room, snack corner, longer recess, and etc. And even if the workers finally feel like they have to quit the company, most of the case is because usually the vision and mission of the employer and employees is no longer aligned. And it is okay because it shows that even the big companies can have a bad systems, and the public will be able to judge the company instead if they know there are more people quitting the companies. This is even opening chance to another companies to rise and automatically will have bigger capacity to hire people that was quitting another companies. And then on second rebuttal, they said that an argument about how bigger data merging and advertisers can see the private message of consumers. We say no. A message is always end-to-end encrypted, and it means that no party is able to reach a private message that are being delivered from one to another. So that arguments do not stand. And then the third rebuttals is on how they said that data mergers allow advertisers to track our activity and show product related to the consumer's interest. We say that is precisely okay because if a person talk about their interest, the product they are interested in, or they are being tracked by the advertisers on what was their last search for products, it is actually better to give the advertisers chance to track it. Why? Because it will actually help the consumers in the search of the product that will fit their interest. And instead of harming, we say it is benefiting the consumers. That is why data breaching and access sharing in the merged companies is okay, because the goal of tech companies is to simplify the life of human with technologies. And the fourth one is on how their arguments say that bigger companies tend to control smaller companies. We say no, because in the merging agreements, two companies or more usually share equal rights, equal access and percentage to the control and the data and etc. And even if they merge, there are still limits enacted by each companies in order to protect each companies and promote integrity. And even if one company have bigger control over another, we say that this is okay because both must have agree on how these terms happens in the agreement. And then the fifth one is their argument on how the goal of a merge is usually because bigger companies want to eliminate competitor efficiently. We say no. Because in the reality, mostly companies merge into one because they are in a stagnancy phase. Tech companies rely on investments, ladies and gentlemen. And in order to maintain the company, they have to merge, which I will explain later. And for example, we see that Gojek and Tokopedia are both in a stagnancy phase where investors demand more and they weren't able to fulfill the demand immediately. So in order to earn more investments and be able to add more value towards the companies, they merge with other companies that can help them. It is the real reasons on why the companies merge, and do not on why they always want to eliminate another competitor, because I will explain later on how the merge actually creates better chance for competitor to rise. And then the last rebuttals in how they say that this is eliminating options for consumers. We say no, because instead of limiting options, these merged companies will create more innovations and create more options for the consumers, because bigger companies actually create chance for another small companies. For example, we can see the WhatsApp scandals. Between the WhatsApp scandals, after the merge of WhatsApp and Facebook, a lot of people actually see how this term can confuse them, and instead Telegram is rising up, and more consumers is joining Telegram until nowadays. That is the proof on how merging two companies does not always means it will dominate the market, ladies and gentlemen. And then coming up, on the opposition side of the house, we believe that merge and acquisitions in tech companies is necessary, and in that way, it shouldn't be limited or regretted. Our goal is that we want to stick to the status quo where technologies companies are allowed to merge or acquire. On our world, we want the same world with the status quo where companies are allowed to merge. Because in most cases, as I say, the action of merging is necessary, and this does not promote dominations or monopoly. I will deliver two arguments on. The first one is why is this merge and accusations is justifiable, and also the second one is how is this beneficial. The first one, that in the status quo, the companies is relying on investments, as I say. That means that companies must follow the demands of the investors. If the demand of the investors is not possible to immediately done, then they are in the phase of collapsing. It is worse. The collapse of one company is more harmful for workers, for consumers, and for nations, of course. And in these cases, merge or acquisitions is necessary. For example, on how Facebook have to compete with Instagram, but the demand of investor is more. And it is impossible for them to stay competing to each other. In this case, merge is necessary because in order to prevent the collapse, they have to work together. And that's why it is totally justifiable to merge. And what is the benefits of this merging and acquisitions? The first one is that this is helping each companies to create more innovations on how this is actually creating more possibilities for one companies to help another companies in order to create more newer ideas, more innovations, and adding more values towards each other companies. And also the second one is how is this actually benefits consumers and other business, and creating more wider range of business such as advertising business. Because advertisers will have another chance on promoting the products towards the consumers, and how the consumers will be able to access what they are interested in such a shorter phase, in such a shorter phase and easier way. That is why we are so proud to oppose the motions. Thank you.